Okay, here comes a good one. Something unexpected in the shadows. I like to put unexpected things everywhere. I don't know, you ever remember being a kid and playing with the shadows on the wall and doing little birds? Welcome to Give Your Walls Some Soul. I'm Shannon Grissom. Well, lately I've been golfing about as much as I've been painting. And when I walked out of the house today on the way to the show, my husband said, "Why are you taking the golf club?" And I said, "You know what? There's a lot of similarities between golf and painting." And I had to show off my new club, and you know, it's red. I had to pick it out just because it was red. If all else is equal, you got to have the red club. So today we're going to talk a lot about, we're painting pears, but believe it or not, it has a lot to do with golf. So check out this episode of Give Your Walls Some Soul. All right, so with pears, what are we going to start with? We've got a red pear, a green pear, and a brown pear. And it's kind of like a foursome. And of course, you know, now I'm playing in a tournament tomorrow. And I'm not going to tell you which pear is who, because I'd get in trouble, because last time I painted pears and named them after people, they were all arguing over who was the fat one. So I am not naming names today. I am not getting in trouble. But we're going to start with the green pear, start in the center today. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take a little bit of this really bright phthalo green, add a bit of red to it. Why? Because it's a compliment, not just because I like the color. And then I'll mix it with a little bit of the Terra Verde. Now that's a nice opaque color, so that's going to be a good shadow side. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a nice dark. It's pretty warm. Might need a little more green. I'm going to cool it down just a little bit. Okay, there we go. So what did I just quick add in there that I didn't talk about? That would be the Phthalo Turquoise. That's just a happy color. Now what does this have to do with golf? Well, I've just started playing golf. I'm not very good, but I can tell you that every time I address the ball or I address the canvas, I don't know what I'm going to come up with. You know, it's different every time, and you think you're getting your swing down, and then things change. And it's the same thing with painting. The other thing that I thought about is that you really have to be humble, because golf humbles you. At least when I play, it does. And same thing with painting. You have to be willing to go out there and give it a shot, and not worry about whether you're going to make mistakes, because you will, and things will go wrong. But you know what? You just keep playing and you keep painting, and then things get better. All right, so I'm starting with the dark side of the pear. This has got way too much medium in there, so it's too transparent, so I'm going to make it a little thicker. I'm starting with the dark side of the pear, and I'm going to make a slightly lighter on the other side here. Let's just add a little bit of this Phthalo Turquoise and Phthalo Green and see how that does. I guess I better move my golf club out of the way. Oh, it's a hard thing to do. All right. So let's add some of this on the other side. Oh, that's lovely. We're going to rough these things in. Now, if you can paint pears, pears are like comfort food for me. They're the painting equivalent of comfort food. They're just they have people shapes. They have definite personalities. And the interesting thing about this setup is there's a lot of tension here. Each of the pairs, or these people, they have a lot of space, but the way they're interacting with each other is what's going to make it an interesting painting. That, and of course, the splashes of color. All right, so I'm adding some lighter green over on this side. And we're talking about making form. It's that whole dark, medium, and light situation that will make this work. So what do I need to do to add over here? I'm going to just mix some of this together, brush mix it with this and see how that works. No, I think I need to add some white. It's still too transparent. Now what happens is when you add white to something like this, it gets light and it takes the punch out of it. So I need to add the punch back to it because I can't have a boring painting. But that's better. That's going to cover a lot better. So I'm going to hold this up, see how this color's doing. That's good. I'm going to add a little bit of red back into that. Why? Because it's opposite on the color wheel, not just because it's one of my favorite colors. And actually, my favorite colors change. Okay. There's the red. Yeah, that makes it a lot better shadow side. Now the shadows are not as dark as people think they are. And if you go out and look in nature, like on the golf course, shadows aren't black, they're full of color, and that's what we're going to paint here today. Okay, that's better. Because before you could see through the canvas, and I really didn't want to do that. Now just for kicks, because you know I can't go that long in a show without adding red, I'm going to pull some red down so that I don't mess up my straight tube color. And I'm going straight into that red. Where? Well, down at the very bottom, because that'll be fun. And a little bit over to the side here. Now, do I see that much red in the pear? Well, not really, but it's fun to add a little bit extra. So what I'm doing is what I'm adding to what I see and turning it up a notch. And it's kind of like the equivalent of, they used to have the little equalizers on stereos. Press that little equalizer button. Okay, so now I'm going to make a lighter color. This thing will look three-dimensional. Right now it's got a hole, as you need dark, medium, and light. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the light color for the center. And that will be white. I'm going to go for this lemon yellow. And I think I forgot to put that on today's palette. That was an afterthought on the way as I was setting this up. Oh, that's happy. Okay, I like that. I'm going to get a clean brush, a little bit of liquid, and I'm going to put that in the middle. That's a good, and I'm going to overstate the light. And you know why we overstate the light is because it's easier to go over the top of light than it is to put light over the top of dark. Otherwise you get mud. Don't want mud. Don't want muddy pears. Okay, now I'm going to go into some straight. I love this cad yellow green. It's a nice loud color. Yeah, one of the things I thought about when I'm still learning. I mean, I'm really green as far as learning my golf swing and learning how to do that. And another similarity is people worry when they approach the canvas or when they set up to make a drive. They're like, I'm going to look stupid out there. I'm just going to look so stupid. Well, you know what? When I get out there and I hit a golf club and you see my swing, I do look stupid. But until you practice it, then that's the only way you're going to get better. It's the same thing with if you're worried about making a mistake when you're painting, hey, it's going to happen. So what I'd like to teach you is how, when you do make a mistake, how you can get beyond it. And but the only way you're going to get better in golf or in painting is to keep golfing and keep painting. If I had my way, I'd do that all day long. I'm working on it. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. So what happens? Sometimes you have bad golf days. You just do. But you know what? You don't really have bad golf days. It's kind of like, I don't really have bad days either. I have bad parts of a day, or a bad hole, or a bad shot, but then there's the good ones, and that makes up for everything else. And the same thing with painting. You have one section of a painting or one little bit that works, and it makes it all worthwhile. Okay, so I'm basically just going from dark to light here. I may need to make that a little darker. I'm going to overstate the light some more, just so that I have room to blend. So I'm really going to... Now I can't just make little racing stripes here, because what happens is the pear bows out here. So it's got a heavy little bottom. So we're gonna ground that puppy and make that darker on the bottom. I'm going to grab my little brush and go into some straight dark right here. And I'm going to rough these in first and see how much time I have before I just play with one. Because, you know, you could spend a whole hour just doing one pear, and I don't want to do that to you guys. I'm going to add a little orange because, you know, it needs to be livened up here. It's getting a little too boring. Now, I actually see a bit of orange there. It's not like I'm just making this up. Sometimes I do, but not right now. I'm pulling this down. Wow, we get brush hairs in the canvas, but we don't want one of mine, so that's got to go. Boy, you guys should have been here earlier. There was a gnat flying around, and it almost was toast in the canvas. But it was smart, and it ran away. Okay, so I went straight into that orange. Oh, that's nice. I'm just going to throw in a little color here. Maybe not enough. A little red, too, toward the bottom. And I think I'll start blending now. So I'm going to take a clean brush, paper towel. And blend. This might be too stiff. If there's not a lot of paint and it's too stiff, you're just going to wipe everything off. All right, so I'm going to take a clean brush, and after each stroke I will wipe. I'm doing this gently. That's the other thing. God, I'm a little heavy-handed with the golf club. I got to learn to be a little more gentle. I'm working on it. So I'm blending with the form, with the shape. Working on not over-blending. That's something I can do sometimes. All right, it's dark here. And I think I need to add some yellow and some nice color in the middle. Okay, I'm really tempted to just go straight into that color, but you know what? I've got to take my time, move this paint over so that I keep this top section clean and do my mixing down here. But gosh, it's tempting to just go in there, and you know toward the end of the show I'll probably just go into the top, but I try to keep it clean. All right, so I'm going to add a little brighter stuff right up here, right on the outskirts. I'm just scribbling, and then I need to throw some straight white right over the top. I'm going to get another clean brush. Can I get away with that? Well, maybe we'll try. See if we can get away with this dirty brush. We will know right away that's not going to work. Okay. I'm not putting the highlight in. That's like the last thing you do. So it's usually the first thing you see is the last thing you paint. All right, so I overstated that. That's good. I'll blend a little bit more, and then I may move on to the next pair. I got to get my paper towel, so it's really important to blend and wipe, blend and wipe. Otherwise, you're just picking up too much paint. Gotta leave it alone. Okay, that's a good start on that. And what I'll do is put in a little stem and move on to the next pair. So the stem is the same kind of thing. It has a dark, medium, and light edge. And we'll go ahead and do that. The light source, for the most part, is hitting this way. You can see the shadows are this way. This was set up in the studio with an artificial light source. So I might have had a few little conflicting bits of light coming in, but that's okay. We'll correct that in the painting. Okay, so the stem. Let's get some purple, carbazole violet. And you know what? I think that's just going to be straight violet right on the edge. And you wouldn't think to put purple on the edge of a stem. If people are thinking realistic colors, but you know what? It will look realistic when we're done. And I like to make realism, but I also like surprise color. All right, so there's purple there. That's gorgeous. And then I'll add a little red right over the top. And then next, it's going to be like a little rainbow. And I'll add a little orange. See, now I can go and contaminate these straight colors here. A little orange there. And then I'll need to put the light over there. I'm going to have to wipe my brush a little bit. I'm exaggerating this, but that's all right. That's why we're painting. All right, and I'm going to reinstate some of the purple because I lost some of it. And everybody's a product of their environment. So a lot of this stuff will start to make sense when we put other things in. All right, I'll clean this up a little. And I'm going to put some straight red just right before the shadow, just because you would not expect red at the bottom of the pear right here where the shadow hits, and that's just fun. But on a logical, it really is logical because it's the opposite on the color wheel. So we'll just put it down here. All right. Now, you'd think I'd go to the red pear next, but no. I'm saving it for last. And let's go do that brown boy over here. Can't start naming names. Thinking about giving this one a name, but I'll get in trouble again, so I'm not going to. Now, you notice I got some paint here in the background. I can just take a little, just wipe off the most of it, and then when I go over with the background color, I can take care of that. All right, so that's a good base for that. Now, how am I going to make this brown? I'm going to take some yellow ochre, mix it with that dioxazine purple, also known as carbazole violet. Oh, that's a nice rich shadow color. Is that going to work? Yeah. It's a little too light, so I'm going to add some more violet. I should have cleaned my knife first, but you know what? I'm only good for the beginning of the show to do that. There we go. This is real world painting. God, you guys should have seen. Okay. This is what happened. This totally I know this is going to be one of those Rosanna Dana things where you're not quite sure how this happened, but so I'm going out to San Juan Oaks, which is a local golf club, and they have have buckets of balls. I'm going to hit a bucket of balls, and they have these machines. Normally, I just go and I pay the fee, and I get my bucket, and I go hit them, right? So they said, "Oh no, you got cash. You can go to the machine." So I go to the I go to the machine, and I didn't realize there were different size baskets, right? So I put my money in the machine, and I put a basket under there, and these balls start coming out. And then they fill up the basket, and they're still coming, and they're coming, and they're coming, and I'm like, oh God, please, I hope nobody sees this, and oh God. So it was like something out of Candid Camera. So I fill up my basket, and I'm like, I don't even see any other baskets to put these balls in, and so I just let them go. But then the man who does the carts, he came over and he gave me a basket and gave me the rest of my balls. And he said, "Don't you know there are different sizes?" And I said, "No." And oh my God, it was so embarrassing. But now I know. So if you've never hit a bucket of balls before and you've never used the machine, check the size of the basket. Now, how does that relate to painting? You know, you don't know how things are going to react, and you just try to do something and you get more than you bargained for. It's okay. You just deal with it. And if you can't laugh at yourself, I don't know what to tell you. So it really did relate. All right, I'm going to start with the shadow side of the pear. I'm actually going to take my dirty green brush, wipe it off, because it's going to have just enough green in there to tie it in. And why do I want to tie it in? All three of these guys, I've decided they're going to be guys. All three of these guys have to be friends. And so they have to relate to each other and be harmonious. So if you've got a little bit of color from him, into him, then they're all going to be happy. So here you go. So the dark side of this pear, who shall remain nameless. Oh, that's gorgeous. Thank God there weren't that many people out at the golf course that day. That was that time of day anyway. Because if it were a few hours later, that place would have been packed. And there's things you just don't know until you experience them, right? Hell, I didn't know. Oh, I like that dark. That's just nice. All right, I'm going to grab some straight yellow ochre. Move it over. See, with my dirty brush, just added that to this side. So I'm brush mixing that. And you notice that my canvas kind of dances around a little bit. Well, we talked about this before. You can secure this down so that it doesn't move, but I like the interaction. I don't like it to be restricted. Oh, I like that. Okay, I'm going to add a little more warmth to this as it starts to turn. Turn the corner. Okay, so I'm playing in my first tournament tomorrow. So it's, you know what, and it's scary, just like painting is scary. But you got to do it, and the only way to break yourself of being scared of something is to do it. So I'm going to get out there, and thankfully I'm playing with 4 gals who are very patient, and I've had help from a friend. It's really helped me with my game, so that's good. But this ought to be interesting. At least I don't have to get balls out of the machine. Okay, so there's a little bit of dark on this other side. Now, you know, if I just add light to this middle part, see now these are different, not only are these different colors, they're different types of pears. I don't remember the names of the types of pears, but it's great because it really adds interest. They're not all the same shape, size, they really both, they all have personality. All right, so I'm going to add some, again, I'll overstate the light in the middle. Yeah, I know the man in the cart was doing major blonde jokes. Major blonde jokes after me and that little incident there. It was funny. And you know what? I just laughed, but what are you going to do? I know I was bright red. Okay, so I'm going to put some, overstate the light here. Had a little green in there. We're adding color from the neighbor, so that's good. Oh, that's gorgeous. A little orange on the side. I'm just kind of scrubbing this in. Now you'll notice that, you know, the green pigments, I had trouble with the transparency, but all of these ochres and anything in these yellow tone, they're a lot more opaque, so I'm not having the same trouble. But I want to get these blocked in before I play with them, because I could just futz with them way too long. You've seen that happen. A little more light here. Okay, time to blend this. And you know what? It's too... You notice this one's got a little more squiggly stuff going on. That's the technical term, squiggly stuff. And that's what it's going to take for this to, besides the blending, to not look, here another technical term, stupid. So what I need to do is just break it up. It's just too rigid. Imagine that. So I'm going to, you know, like kind of do it with my eyes closed. Just, you know what, try that. Just, it's almost like you ever throw a basketball from half court all the way back to see if it would go in. Sometimes it could happen. So, you know, if you're painting and you get too rigid with it, you know, just like stand not facing it, throw some, you know, little strokes on there and see what happens. It helps you loosen up a little bit. Don't get so uptight about it. That's better. So now all I have to do is blend this puppy. Now, if I can only do that with my golf, I'd be in good shape. So I'm blending in a different direction across the light. I'm gonna get a clean brush for the middle because I could mess up everything I just did if I don't. Then I'm going to stay away from the middle. And I think it needs to have more light right in this area, so I'm adjusting it a little bit. And I just made a muddy mess there, so I'm going to add a little more light there. It happens. There. Now it's time to add a little more dark back in. It's a dance. You go back and forth. But instead of adding dark, I'll add a little red and a little orange. Brighten it up. There. And again, we want these to be grounded, so where I need to add more dark is down at the bottom. That wasn't dark enough, so let's try this. See what happens. There we go. It's starting to have some turn a little bit. Oh, that was kind of cool. Looks a little funny there, but I'll clean up that with the shadow. And I need a little dark over on this side. Don't want to outline it. It's very tempting to outline it, so I got to clean that up too. So another thing I did is, I use music too to help. This one has a little dimple kind of thing. I think I remember him doing that. Use music too to kind of get you in a good place. If you're a little tired, put on some fast music. That will help it. Really can get you out of a funk. All right, so the same thing with this stem. I'm going to look at where the dark, medium, and light areas are and just put them in. Normally, I have to tell you, normally I would paint the background first. If I wasn't on TV, I would start with the background and do the foreground later. And I would put the stems over the top of the background so you wouldn't have to paint over them. But I wanted to make sure that we actually had enough time to get these pears done because, you know what, an hour is not very much time to paint. Yeah, I hear you. If you talk a little bit less about golf, you might be able to get it done. Nah, I don't think so. All right, so we have dark there, and we'll put some light on the other side. This brush might be a little too fat for this. Yep, it is. I'll have to get a smaller brush. And a little more orange. That's better. That's a good start. Okay, I'm moving on to that. Now does this kind of, yeah, this gets a little, I have to extend that because this guy's reaching over to this one. So I'm going to extend that a little bit. Okay. And now we need to start on the red and get that guy going. So how am I going to make the red dark? I could do green, it's complement. But it's not my favorite way to darken that up. I'm going to add some violet. So I'm going to take some quinacridone violet, add some carbazole violet. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that's yummy. And that's going to be that side of the pear. So hopefully you can see that we've got dark, medium, and light on either side. Let's see, looking for just the perfect brush. And what would that be? I think I need some new ones. With all these brushes here, and I'm not finding the perfect one. All right, where'd you go? This will work. No, it won't. Okay, why won't it work? Because it's splayed, it's pretty old and it's tired. And by splayed, that means that it's going to just totally go. There are times to go out of the lines and times not to, and this is not the time. So I'm going to find one that'll give me a little more, there we go, a little more control, and is in better shape. It's a newer brush, and it's a filbert rather than a square brush. Okay. I love how they're leaning toward each other. like they're all talking to each other. I don't know what they're saying. Which is probably a good thing. Won't be locking me up. Pulling my little reference photo out so I can see. That's just nice. I love it when it works out like that because sometimes it doesn't. Just like the little golf swing. And then there's that more brighter red. Of course, you know, I really intensify the colors on these pears because it's fun. So I'm going to add some more of this Pearline Scarlet, which is just yummy. It's also transparent. I'm going to have to probably add some Cad Red to it in order for it to work. That's nice. Now you can use a bigger brush and not get as many strokes, but I like the energy that this brush adds to it. Okay. And then I think instead of using the darkest dark over there, I'm going to go ahead and use the Pearline Scarlet on the edge. With just a hint of this shade that we made over here, and that will tie these two together. And we will tap a little bit of green in there so that they're all harmonious. The one thing I did that's not a good idea, is that you don't want to outline something in just one stroke here. I've got to break it up a little bit, otherwise it's monotonous, and in real life you don't have things that are that, not such a straight line like that. So I'm going to go ahead and break that up with some red. And for the center, instead of putting our white in there, because you know if I put white in there, it's going to be pink, and I don't want a pink pear here. So I'm going to add a yellowish color, and that's what's going to be in the center area. I need a cleaner brush because I contaminated everything. Oh, that's good. And I'm going in the direction that this pear is. You know, I'm really putting the energy there so that it's leaning. There's this place near Santa Cruz, California called the Mystery Spot. And no matter where you are there, you walk funny and you look like you're leaning, and it's really a trippy place. And so this pear just kind of reminds me of that Mystery Spot. It's leaning over, and it's amazing that it's even upright, but it is. I've been at events where I've seen people walk like they're at the Mystery Spot, but that's probably because they had a few too many. Okay, so where do we want some more red? Along the edges. And I'm overstating this little powerful red, but it'll get blended later. Right here. I'm going to add a little ochre because I want to, again, bring in some of this buddy from over here. We could all be friends here. And I'm going to start contaminating and adding. See, that's why you move all this stuff, move all this stuff down, is so that you can just stick your brush right into straight color without killing all these stuff that's straight out of the tube, because then at the end of the day, you can take this straight tube color, put it on a clean palette, and keep painting. But if it's all a mess, you can't. I'm scribbling down here, adding some energy. It just feels good. Giving these pears some soul. Okay, I'm going to add some orange, straight orange. Okay, what did I do? I went straight into the color that was up there, just what I told you guys not to do. It was a whoops. That's all I can say. It was an accident. That's what all the kids say. It was an accident. So now we got this pear with a hole in it. And it's about time to get out the blending brush, but as you can stand back, you can see that they're all starting to take a little form. They're going to need a little background, though, in order to make sense. So I'm going to blend this. I'm pressing lightly. Need some more, you know what, it's not a good brush, either that or I just need some more orange. So I'm going to try first bringing a little cad yellow deep down and seeing if that works. And if not, I'll get a different brush. And why am I insisting on using this one when I didn't think it was working? Because I like how gentle it is, and it's so splayed and so old that it just blends really well. So the blending is effective, but I might have too much of the other paint on it. That's good. Now I'll get another final blending brush, and we'll move on to some other areas. Something that's really soft. This guy is pretty soft. If you get too scruffy a brush out here, just going to pull up all the paint, because I don't use a lot of paint. If you use a lot of paint, you can get away with a scruffy brush, a stiff brush. So it depends on what I'm doing, whether I use a stiff one or not. And I just over blended. That's okay. You can reinstate things at the end. And just blending lightly, very little pressure. Okay, so I'm turning around to look and see if that's starting to make sense. It is. It's a little too harsh right here. So I'm just going to blend some of that away. Whoops. Oh well. Just blend some of that away. And I'm going to keep moving because I want to get this canvas covered tonight before the show ends, so that everything has a sense of place. All right, so we need the stem. We'll add some dark over here, which was that nice color that we made over here. Nice brownish. And then add a little red to that. And we'll put light on the other side and meet in the middle. I'm going to grab some straight lemon yellow, just because. Wipe my brush, grab some yellow ochre, blend. All right. I'm going to throw in some shadows now, and now they're floating. Oh, wow. Okay, so I turn around and I can see what I'm painting in the monitor, and they're like pears floating in space. And then the reason I was cracking up, because I don't know, I guess basically in the 70s there was this Muppet show, and they had this pigs in space segment, and okay, you're like, how is that pigs in space relating to the pears? But these pears are in space, and we need to get them grounded. So I'm going to go ahead and put the shadows in, at least land these puppies, and then we'll throw in the background and wrap it up. So what do I want? What do I want for the shadows? Well, you know, I got to have some violet, and so I'm going to grab some white. I'm running out of room here on my palette. And now that's just way too dark. I love the color. It's yummy, but it's not right. So I'm going to add some violet. That didn't do it. I'm going to move some of this over, because I could keep adding white to that all day and not make a dent. And I'm just smashing this color down. And how can I gray it? Well, I can gray it with its complement. I'm going to add first a little blue and then a little ochre. All of a sudden my palette paper is wanting to bubble up. It's like, hang in there, palette paper. You can make it to the end of the show. Okay, a little bit of that and a little bit of, believe it or not, some of this dark color here. See, it's all got to tie together. That'll gray it down. That's nice. Let me move it down here. Maybe that's looking to be a little more cooperative. Now, I like it on the palette, but I'm not sure how it's going to look on the canvas, so I'm moving it over here to see what that looks like. And it's a little too bright. So how am I going to tone that down? First, I'm going to add some green. That might do it. It might have been a little too warm, so I'll add a cooler green. That might have been, this is like the Three Bears. Okay, that was too warm, that was too cool. And we're waiting for one that's just right. Ooh, there we go. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so that'll be directly under the pears, and shadows get a little bit lighter as they get away from the object, so we'll add some light to that. All right, so I need another brush that's, this time we're going for the stiff boy. That'll help. I'll put that in, because we're using more paint, and it'll work. All right, so where's the shadow? Getting my reference photo out so I can see. That's a nice color. It might be too dark, but you know what? I really like it, so I'm going to see if I can make it work. You know what? If you can make it work, even if it's not what you were going for, try it. All right, so I'm not filling in the complete shadow. I don't want to do it all the same color. That's cool. And let's see, this goes off the page. He's got a little shadow on both sides. And of course underneath. All right, and let's see, it's going to get lighter as it goes out. So I'm going to take this sturdy brush. Oh, I need some more white. It's stuck. It's buried under my other wild colors. Okay, I'm kneading this because you know what happens. If you don't knead it, you just get oil. And there's not much room on my canvas, on my palette, because I've just mixed a lot of paint, so I'm just throwing it out there. And it's sliding. All right. I'll mix a little in here. See how that does? Now if you just add a little white to it, it just makes it lighter, but you need a little more punch, so I'm going to add a little bit more red. Okay. Let's get these shadows finished. Yeah, that's nice. We're going to be doing some wild background painting in a second, because that's the only way we'll be able to get it done before the show finishes. Pressure. Oh, I like that color. That's cool. Good thing, huh? What happens when I don't like it? Well, I'll let it dry and try again. Paint over it. Sometimes I can't let it go and I overwork it, but either way, if it's not working, you gotta let it go and get some space before you try again. That's like my friend Bob. I'm doing this, I'd do a bad golf swing and he'd say, no, step back and keep trying again away from the ball before you go back. Same thing. Okay, that's good. Now we need to ground these totally because they're not grounded yet. You need that, right? All right, so we get this little bit of dark. This guy is going to be grounded with a little bit of purple because that's his opposite on the color wheel. Oh, that's yummy. Woo! Yeah, that's cool. Okay, this guy is going to be grounded with red. That's his opposite. Opposites attract here. And of course, red boy is going to get green. Not colors you'd think to put in shadows, right? Well, just look at them and see what you see. And then turn them up a notch. Okay. So we have what? 5 minutes to do a wild background? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to add just that, just a suggestion that there's a shelf here. But we really don't need a lot of stuff here. That's good. I need a little more liquid. I'll paint over this. And it seems like I'm going really slow for how much time we have left to cover this puppy up. All right. That's good. Next thing to do is make a whole mess of this color really quick. We're talking, where's my white? We're going to get a whole bunch of this out here. And it looks like it's just a gray-violet, very understated gray-violet in the background there. Well, this is soupy. So I think I'll just add a little Phthalo Turquoise, a little Carbazole Violet. Mix that. See how this does? Oh, my palette paper, it's just like barely making it to the end. Sliding off here. Like the San Andreas Fault. Okay. Supercharged energy. There we go. You gotta just throw it down. Don't have a lot of time, but we need the contrast. I'm scrubbing it in. Add a little more medium. Add a little dark there. Ooh, that's nice, that warmth that's right there. I need to lighten that up a little, but I can't worry about it because we don't have time. Isn't that nice? It helps you to keep moving. Kind of like ready golf. You don't have time to mess with it. Going to add some more light. A little more light down here. It's the contrast that makes these things work. So where you have your darkest darks, you want to make your lightest lights. Blending these together. Normally I wouldn't have to paint around the stems, we talked about that, but you know what, that's just what we're doing today. You definitely get a workout doing this. Woof! That was an accident, so I'm going to put some more everywhere, you know, just, like I meant to do that. Woohoo! Okay, it's not quite as bad as when you go out to swing at the ball and you totally miss it. Oh, God, that's embarrassing. It's because I'm lifting up. I don't know what caused me to do this, but it just happened. Just deal with it. Ooh, I like that energy. That is fun. So that was one of those serendipitous occurrences. Or as my friend Julie calls it, happy accidents. No, my friend Julie calls it serendipitous. Okay. Can she do this? Maybe. Add some more white. I'm going to have some contrast or that won't work because that's the same color there. All right, so we got, what, 1 minute left in the show, and we didn't get it covered. And you know what? Sometimes you don't get things done in the amount of time that you think you're going to. So what would I do to finish this? Well, I'd continue to scribble all over the canvas, which is what I'm going to do after the show's over. And then as it dries, I'll reinstate some of this, but I really like the rough and rawness of it. And so what I'd like you guys to get out of this show is, number one, don't be afraid to try something. Don't be afraid of looking stupid. Just go for it. And the more you practice and the more you do, the better you're going to be, and you'll be able to give your own walls some soul. Thanks for watching. I'm Shannon Grissom.